Hi, I'm Joe, and you're watching and Joke. So I've been wanting to do a lot more D&D related stuff on this channel, and I thought the best place to start with that is by remodeling the 3D polyhedral dice set that I have on my Sketchfab and on sale on my CGTrader. So that's why you're now watching the first in a series of videos of me modeling polyhedral die. This is the first episode, how to model a 20-sided die. So to start this process off, we're going to need an isocohedron. That's a lot of words. An isocohedron is an equilateral 20-sided three-dimensional shape made of equilateral triangles. I think I said equilateral too early on in that sentence. Either way, we're going to get rid of this cube. And it's very simple to get an icosahedron in Blender. All you have to do is go to Mesh, Shift A, of course, to add this. Go to Isosphere. Even the isosphere looks like a D20. And then instead of going with the default 2 subdivisions, you just need to lower it to 1. Now you have your icosahedron. Now, in this, I want to make 3 versions of the D20, so I'm going to duplicate this object 3 more times. So we'll have our base, which we will not affect, and then we'll have these 3 which we're going to manipulate. So now that we have our icosahedron, such a large word. Now that we have our D20 shape, let me say that, we can go ahead and start getting the numbers ready. So we're going to hide this as well. I didn't think that I'd need to hide it, and we're going to add text. Now, to get your numbers, you just need to pick your favorite font. So let me just go here. I want to pick one kind of close to the D20s that I have. So I'm going there, I'm going font, and open. This should go directly to your fonts folder. If it doesn't, you can use, well, the navigation to guide it to your fonts folder. As you can see, it's in Windows Fonts. You can also go to your settings and look at your fonts before you come here and choose it. I think these images here are fine enough for me to discern what I want. I did pick a font earlier. I'm thinking about changing it. So maybe let's try this and see how that works. Ooh, that looks bad. Let's see how the numbers look. That doesn't look that bad. Let me try change that. Where's Cambrian normal? We got bold, we got italic, we got bold italic, we don't got normal. Here, Cambrian bold. Open. That doesn't look that good. That doesn't look that good. I have no idea if you heard that. Comic Sans. I wonder, earlier, did I pick Comic Sans? You know what? For this project, yeah, I'm going to pick Comic Sans. The rounded edges are definitely going to make it more complicated, but this will show you that you can do it with any font. Also, I just think it looks good. Well, not good, but it looks funny. 5, 6. So yeah, what you want to do is go here and just start typing out all the numbers. 8, 9, 10 comes after that. Let's go to a new line. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now, if you wanted to do the rest of the die in the polyhedral die set, which I will eventually do, but I'm only focusing on the D20 for right now, you would have to go and type the percentile values. The percentile values, of course, being... Oh yeah, we can actually put it in front here. 0 is one of the percentile values because 0 is representative of 10 on a percentile. And then 0, we have the 0, 0, which is on the 100 die. Then we have 0, 1, 0, 2, No, I'm wrong about that. We have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, and 90. Now, these are all the numbers you will need for every polyhedral die, but right now we're only working with the D20. I will come back and redo these numbers when I work on the other die. And given that the next die down is... Wait, the next die down is actually 12. Never mind. So 2 dies down, I will retype those numbers. Okay, so now that you have this text object, we can convert it into a mesh. We go up here, object. There's so many birds out here today. I don't know if you can hear them. They're just hawking. Hawking? I don't know what birds do. Convert. Okay, object, convert, and then you go to mesh. I believe text is technically a curve when it starts off. But now we have this. So with this, we can then select all of it. Let's go into either side view or... I don't know what this is. Front view? It's not top view. Top view is 7. So front view, you have this line. We just want like a good height. So I'm thinking we go 0.2. So scale Z. Did I get the scaling wrong? Oh, sorry. Extrude. Don't scale. Extrude. Extrude Z is by default, then do 2. 2 is too much. I did mean 0.2. 0.2. And yeah. So now we have our... I don't know what they called it on the letterpress. Like the letterpress, you used to have to set up all the tiles or whatever to print on a newspaper. That's essentially what we're doing, but we're going to do it with an engraving kind of scenario. You'll see what I'm talking about later. So now that we have all of these, let's exit this. We can bring back our first isocohedron. I think that's right. I've actually forgotten what it's called. I'm sorry. Okay. So I do want to actually set up the types of die that I want to make. So this will be our normal die. This one, I want it to be beveled edges. So we're going to go into edge select mode, and we're just going to select every edge. Oh, this might take a bit. Well, you'll see a sped up clip.
A few moments later.
Or I could just do A. Dude, yeah, all the edges would still select all the faces. I thought I could get away from selecting faces. Toggle all, Control B, and bevel it to a good amount. Let's do that. So yeah, I think that's a good bevel. We will smooth everything out later because some faces need to be smooth, some faces don't need to be smooth. And we'll figure all that out later. Actually, with the beveling, I'm wondering if I should do a bit of bevel, then round it out ever so slightly. Just one round there. Then when you smooth it, just to take a look at what it will look like. Sorry, not look at. Yeah, I like that. I like that. It's kind of like an actual die. It looks good. I guess that's our objective, to make realistic, not even realistic looking die. Let's just make die. Said die too many times. I mean the game object die. I don't mean the word that's banned on YouTube. Either way, we'll undo that smoothing for now because we're going to have to do that later. And then for this one, I kind of just wanted smooth points. So I'm not entirely sure this is going to work. It's still the same scenario. So let me... Actually, no, it's not the same scenario. I think I have to bevel these individually. Nope, that didn't work. What am I thinking of? I did have another beveling I wanted to do. I just don't know if it's possible now. I don't think it is. No, because it bevels that. Okay, so I just wanted the points to be sharpened down. I think we're just going to make 2 then, if I can't properly do what I'm thinking. Or I can't conceive of the way to do of what I'm thinking. So we have this beveled version, then we have this absolutely sharp version. Completely sharp. Overlapping, so we'll use the beveled one to position all of the numbers. Just because the beveled one has the smallest area the numbers could fit on. This one has a larger area, but we want the numbers to be proportional between both of them. So yeah, now that we have that, let's get to placing the numbers. Okay, so before we start putting numbers onto the this is a hard sentence to say. Before we start putting the numbers onto the D20, I'm gonna have to actually arrange or get the numbers out of this. So we have our number objects right here. I picked Comic Sans. I don't know what type of type font you picked, but you're gonna have to do this too. Or you could not and do all this in edit mode, which would be bad, I guess. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make another collection. New collection. I'm gonna drag this text into it. The reason I'm doing this is now going to be the numbers. I have my caps lock on. The numbers. We're then going to separate these out of this object. So L to select the island, and then P selection. We do the same with all the other numbers, and we'll be back up to after this speed edit. Okay, just jumping back in here quickly to say, remember to select both these islands when you're dealing with the 10s and the 20. 10s and the 20. Anything that has 2 numbers in its written script. Okay, back to the speed edit. Okay, and we'll leave the 20 in here. So going back out, now we just have to rename all of these. That will be another sped up section. Okay, so there we go. We have all our numbers. So I'm just going to select all of the numbers collection right now and move it a bit to the side. Okay, so now we have our numbers, we have our D20. Sorry, wrong D20. We have our number, wrong D20. We have our numbers and we have our D20. Now I went and grabbed my favorite 2 D20 just to confirm all the numbers are matchy-matchy. Are matching. I don't know why I said it like that. Either way, let's start with the 20. So, using this as the top of our D20, we'll be using this as our first face. So with that as our first face, we're going to click on the D20, go here. We're going to reassign its center. So origin to geometry. And now we can put this in the center to start off with as we move it to the correct position and rescale it. We're going to need to remember that scale so that we can scale all the other numbers evenly. So with that there, I'm going into side view, moving that up a bit. Front view, move this to the side a bit. Then now I'll free view it and actually view from the top. Okay. Now, I'm trying to figure out if I should rotate the D20 itself or if I should just rotate the 20. I'm going to rotate the 20. Now, the sad thing is that, yes, while all the angles can possibly be worked out, I feel like that would take too long. So I'm going to just eyeball it. Freestyle, as they say. I also tried to look for a method of aligning the normals of two things. So the normal of this object and the normal of this face. Sadly, I couldn't find it, and it bothers me that that doesn't exist. It's weird. Okay, so from here, this is kind of the hardest part. We're going to rotate it. I have a kind of inkling of what the degree should be. It should be like something like 130. Whoops. Okay, we're going to rotate it, and it's local RX 139. Too much. 139 divided by 2 then. That didn't help. So 139, that's essentially 140, so 70, 64.5? Yeah, 64.5. Okay, that's not exactly right. I may have gotten the initial angle wrong. Either way, we can work with this. So we're just gonna shrink that. Forgot I need to remember the scaling. I need a better view. Okay, this is as front as I think I can get it. We're gonna scale this down, remembering that it's about 0.6. Let's just do 0.6. So with a 0.6 scale, I'll position it looking at the D20 rolling around on my table. Yeah, positioning it towards the bottom seems about right. Around there seems fine. So 0.6 is the scale we're going with. We will be rotating all these numbers on their normal. We'll be transforming all these numbers on their normal. Just because it makes our lives a bit easier. Now, see, this is the part I hate. We have to eyeball about everything. And I'm gonna sink that halfway in. Okay, so from this point on, I'm going to speed up the clip. I will go over which numbers go where and how they should be orientated later. If you are doing this by yourself, just go grab your D20. I presume if you're doing this, you love D&D and you wanted to make a digital D20. So go grab your D20 and you can look at it for how you should position all these numbers. I'll show you at the end yet again, but yeah, at this point, I've told you the scale. We're doing 0.6, and I've shown you how to position it. So I'm going to speed through this, and I'll meet you on the other side. Okay, so part way through this process, I decided to just cut it, because it would either just be too long or too boring, even if it's sped up. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to kind of cut together a highlight reel of some tips and tricks that I found during the process of placing all the numbers where they're meant to be. So yeah, Hope you enjoyed that more than you would have enjoyed a sped up clip of me placing numbers. Tip number 1. How to place your numbers on the top of the die. Okay, I'm gonna stop for a bit so that I can just give you a tip. I just noticed that I didn't think of saying this earlier, but once you're positioning the numbers, an easy way to actually set up the top faces is to first get your first number in place, then copy all of its location and rotation transforms. The scale should be the same because we scaled it to the same thing. And then from there, set your, I don't know what it's called, your axis. Set your axis transform pivot point is what it's called here, to the 3D cursor. If your 3D cursor is not in the center, please set it to the center. Switch from local back to global, go to 7, and now we can rotate this 360 divided by 5, which was, oh my gosh, I'm dumb. How did I not remember? It wasn't 60, because that's 6 and 6.
Many hours later.
Okay, rotated 72 degrees. I want to say I could have done that in my head. I do kind of have like a headache right now, but whatever. I didn't do it in my head. I'm sorry. We're going to rotate this 75 degrees around this axis on the Z. So 75, boom. That places us about in the right area for this face. And now we can switch back to local and position it. I will be doing this for all of the top faces. And also switch your cursor back to midpoint. So yeah, that's just a quick tip. Now back to the speed edit. Tip number 2. How to place the numbers found directly under the top faces. Okay, so I wanted to hop back in here for a second just because I wanted to show you guys a trick for doing these faces over here. The ones just below the top cone we just did. I don't know what to call it. Top pyramid. I don't know what to say. Either way, quick trick for how to place the numbers correctly here. So the angle in between, well, the angle inside between this face and this face is, let me get my notes here. The angle between those is 138.19 degrees. So subtract that from 360 and you get about the right angle of this slope. We may have altered it a bit with the beveling and editing and just generally generating this using Blender's isosphere. But all that aside, if you do that equation, you get 221.81. So if you rotate this on its local x-axis by that amount, this is so nerdy. That is too much. 0.81. Then we get about the right degrees for this face right here. Then all you have to do is position it. And play with it a bit. Rotate in the X just a bit. I found this to be about there-ish, should be fine. Seems to line up pretty well. Make sure it's not too far in. And yeah. I just realized probably the best idea to fix all these faces, another tip, second tip, put all these numbers in the correct position, turn on the magnet, turn on face, and turn this to center, not closest. So with that, oh, whoops. Whew, don't know when I started selecting stuff. So with that, we can now position all these perfectly centered on the faces they're at. Probably started with that one. Don't need to do it again. So yeah, just those 2 tips. I'm going back to editing now. I'll come back once this is done.
Tip number 3. How to place the numbers on the bottom faces of the die.
Okay, I got to this point in the die and figured I'd give you another tip. So, for the bottom faces of the die, since these sections here are essentially mirrored and kind of rotated, you can set up the bottom numbers on the top, align them how they're supposed to be, how you want them to be. Then you can go and yet again set your transform orientation to global again and set your transform pivot point to 3D cursor. Then we're going to rotate around the X 180 degrees. This places them at the bottom. Now all you have to do is position them correctly. The 1 should be directly behind the 20. So we're going to rotate Z. They're kind of in the middle line, the edge between the 2 triangles. So we just have to rotate half as much as we do between the faces. So that would be 36 degrees. You see the 1 isn't aligned, so we're going to hit and put that at negative. So now everything should be aligned, everything should be in the right place at the bottom.
Tip number 4. How to place the numbers directly above the bottom faces.
Okay, another tip. Kind of the same tip as the last one. So the last one was for how to get these numbers properly placed at the bottom. The solution is place the number directly opposite on the die. So for like the 20, it's the 1 in the same position as its opposite. Then flip all the numbers 180 in the X and rotate them negative 36 degrees. So the same thing applies for the numbers right below these top numbers. You can simply place them on their opposites position, then rotate them in the X 180 degrees, and rotate them in the Z 36, negative 36 degrees. And there you go. Now you've placed all your numbers where they're supposed to be.
This is the end of the tip section. Now back to our regularly edited video.
So now that we have that, well, just one more thing before we move on. I realized that when I was typing it out, I forgot to add the dot here and the dot here for the 9 and the 6. So I went back and did that off camera. But yeah, other than that, we can now move on to actually engraving these numbers onto our die. So to engrave these numbers onto our die, first we're going to select the die we want to engrave. I'm actually going to make a duplicate of this because I just realized in case I want to make anything else with it, I should have a duplicate. So now with our die selected, the die body selected, we're going to go over to the modifier. We're going to find the Boolean modifier, and we're going to select difference, that's fine, object, that's also fine. Or actually, could I do collection? Collection. Then I'm gonna have to delete these, or actually just move them out of the collection. Whoops. That and move 9. Okay. So now with that, I can select collection, and we're selecting numbers. Wait for it. Fingers crossed it doesn't crash. Oh no, I didn't think of this. Okay, luckily didn't crash. Z wireframe. So now we have all the numbers indented. And you can switch between, well, no. Okay, I'm going to do exact. I don't know what the result will be otherwise. I'm going to do exact. So we can just go and hit apply. Wait for a bit. It's calculating 20 numbers engraved onto a single die. Yet again, cross fingers, it doesn't crash. It didn't crash. Okay, so if we hide numbers, we can now see we have our engraved die. I'll throw some colors on there so you can properly see the die and the way it looks. And I'll also smooth out these beveled edges. Actually, let me just smooth them out now so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so now as you can see, I've selected all the beveled edges, and now I just hit space, smooth, and we can do face shade smooth. So if we head out, we now see we have smooth beveled edges. You love to see it. Okay, now yet again, let me just add some color to this and I'll be back.
A few moments later.
Okay, so there we have it. I selected the edges. I separated out the edges, the face, and the numbers, and colored them differently so you could just see the results that you would get. Once I was done, I realized it kind of looks like the Not Another D&D podcast logo, the die they have on their logo, and it's pretty cool. So yeah, these steps can then be repeated for our simpler die. We can just go here and go to modifier, Boolean again, and select our collection, numbers collection. Give it a second. Give it a second. There. We hit apply. And oh, this one, yeah, see, this is how the other one came out before. And this is just the easiest point to add in all the textures you want to edit. Add in all the textures you want to add. I don't know why I said edit. We can name this faces. And this numbers. Yeah, we already have another one named numbers. Either way. Actually, why not assign both of them? So numbers. Then for this one, I'll also assign it faces and correct this. Ah, whatever. So now that we have this, I can select all faces. Actually, no. Select the whole die. You have this issue where, for some reason, this number, when not as specifically assigned to a material, will not go for the original material first. It will go for this second one for some reason. So if I then select everything, select faces, faces was specifically the non-engraved section, and now I can assign numbers to the numbers, and boom. Yet again, we have our die. Yeah, so there you go. Simple, not fast, but simple D20. So there you have it, our D20s in all of their splendor. If you don't want to follow this tutorial and make your own D20, then you can go to my CGTrader page where I have this model up for sale along with the older versions of the polyhedral die set I modeled. Or if you just want to look at it, you can go to my Sketchfab page. Both those links will be in the description down below. And if you like this and you want to see my last project, please click up here to the left where I have a link directly to that video. And if you want to catch some more of my 3D modeling, please click up here to the right where I have a playlist full of it. And if you want to catch the next part of this series, please hit that notification bell and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching, and joke out!